is Deirdre, and we are the R62 Preppers. We are now in the process of making some tallow soap. We have to line the trays where we're going to be putting our soap once done, our molds. So, let's start the lining. We're using brown paper instead of wax paper because if you pour the hot soap on the wax will melt into the soap and then you will stop it and remove it later on. Okay. Let's just cut over here. Let's just measure. Corners. Okay, then turn it around. Is it the right length? Yes. That's more or less about the right length. Okay. Just get the corners in. It's not a problem because again, it's just helpful to take it out afterwards to make it easier. All part of the process. So if it doesn't come out perfect, it is soap for home use. Let's just stick that together and I think maybe we can pull this. In the soap making process, your caustic soda must be in a very well ventilated area. It is very important to wear protective gear at all times in case of any spills and splashes. So with the soap making process, you always have to be extra cautious because you are working with a chemical reaction. So you have to be 100% sure about wearing protective gear all the time. So what we're going to be doing is adding the water and then adding the caustic soda to the water until it reaches temperature to the tallow, which is beef fat that's been rendered. And then we add all the other properties afterwards, which I will mention by name, what we were adding and at the time how much of what we're adding. So let's start the process. We'll be adding 1.2 liters of water. And it's always caustic soda, water, and then you add your caustic soda, not the other way around, because it will cause a chemical reaction.
Why do you have ice in the water?
The ice in the water would be to prevent, the ice in the water would be to cool your caustic soda down much quicker. So we'll just have to move this over a little bit more because we need it. We'll just move that out of the way and then we will add it slowly. And then we would stir until it comes clear. And then we've got to wait for it to reach temperature. Let me just move that up a bit, please, thank you.
Yeah, you will feel it getting hotter and hotter.
The heat.
Yes.
That will give off a lot of heat and a lot of fumes. The right temperature for your caustic soda would be about 50 degrees Celsius.
Is that now after it's cooled down?
After it's cooled down, for temperature to mix with your fat, your melted fat. You have to have equal amounts of temperature in both. Otherwise, your saponification won't happen and your soap won't set to the hardness that it should set. It's clearing up.
So you must stir till it's clear.
Stir till it's clear.
And then you must keep the utensil separate to use next time again, because you can't really use it, or you mustn't use it at all
For
afterwards for other things like food or whatever.
Your soap equipment should always stay separately from your kitchen utensils. Your temperatures plays a very important role according to your climate. So you have to adjust. Sometimes if you're in a very dry climate, you can get away with 40 degrees Celsius. If you're not in a dry climate and it's a very moist climate, then you also have to take into consideration maybe a higher temperature. It depends from winter to summer when you're making soap as well. So also take that into consideration.
Put it in the bowl for you.
Yeah. So it has to melt completely. And to keep in mind that both temperatures should be at equal before adding. Let's come down quickly.
Okay. And yours?
Also, I think we can just turn it up a little bit.
Is it going
Just
to
on
cool?
low.
It is on low.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's
I
because
think
this piece, the solid piece was cold, and now it's cooling it down fast.
Yes, but we're at 50 degrees,
And then,
just on 60.
so must I stop stirring?
No, that will be fine. Leave that would melt by the
Okay.
time this gets to
250.
50.
Okay. Going quite fast. It's not
Yes.
taking that long.
It's not like it doesn't take all that
I thought
long.
it's going to take for hours.
A note: when adding oils, add your essential oils. If you want to add any essential oils to a carrier oil, which you add in after your soap making processes come to trace. That is of essential importance, because otherwise you are ruining all the goodness of the essential oils in the heat process. So you only add that in afterwards.
Can you tell us what the benefits are for the lemongrass oil, which we're going to add? And as well, we am going to add some dried marshmallow leaves, which is actually a weed.
It's a weed and it grows in abundance freely all over. These are the leaves that you'd be able to see. And it is dried and mold, dehydrated that for us. And your marshmallow leaves is for good overall skin health. your lemongrass is basically for bacteria and irritation of the skin.
For treatment.
And for treatment of the skin. So any infections or anything like that, it would be very good for any thing that you as natural as possible without using chemicals. Over here we are on
60. It's going a bit under 60 now.
Now this must come up a little bit, it's on 40.
Must I put it on higher?
Yeah.
Okay.
So by the time it gets to 50, it should be perfect.
And then people, this is also a very good idea if you want to prep for bad times. This is an easy way. You can buy the fat in advance, you can put it in the freezer, you can make the soaps later on, and you can use it for hair washes as well, for shampoo. You can use it for washing your clothes if you don't have any other soaps. So this is a nice product to have in your prepper products that you store.
One thing that I wanted to add to that, Deirdre, is if you can't get fat, you can use leftover fat to do something similar. So you can always accumulate leftover fat and leftover grease that you would just boil in water to purify it, and then let it get hard, solidify at the top, and use that instead. So that is also quite a good idea for people if there is hard times and they don't have or can't get any tallow or anything like that. That could also be used.
Yeah, and you can go to your butcher and just ask for lard. It's this one is beef lard, and here in South Africa we pay approximately 20 rand a kilo. Depends on your butcher, which is not a bad price. You can buy 1 or 2 or 3 kilos at a time and put it in the freezer, and then you can stock it up till later, till when you need it or when you're ready to make your soaps. Sharon, can we show them the difference between pure essential oil and one which is more of a blend?
Your pure essential oil would absorb into the skin, whereas your synthetic essential oil would leave a oily, just turn slightly, an oily barrier.
Yeah, you can see it almost absorbs immediately, the 100% pure one, and the other one leaves a oily,
oily base.
Yeah, an oily base.
This one is at, no, it's still below, and this one is still going down to 50.
Give me that spoon and then I'll stir it a bit, maybe it will help. That other spoon there next to you.
Just to get the heat up.
Yes.
Let's just see.
Okay, this one is almost completely melted now.
Okay, there it starts going up, there it starts going up.
I must say when I must make it a bit slower. Put it on slow.
Okay. Turn it off.
Completely.
Turn it off completely, yes. They are both at 60. Now we've just got to wait until they get to 50. Your temperature has to be so spot on, otherwise it just doesn't work. We have tried this before too many times to count where it didn't work out accordingly, and you have to follow and be exact. This is what you call cold process, because your soap has to go into storage for at least about a month before the caustic soda is completely drawn out of the soap. If you use it before, you would get skin allergies like you cannot believe. So that is important to store it away for at least a month, minimum of a month. The longer it stands, the better the product and the better the end result.
How do you know when it's ready? How do you test it?
You test what they call a zap test. So you can take a little bit and just put a little bit of water, mix and put it on your skin. And if it irritates your skin, then you know, no, don't, it's not ready yet. It might look ready, but it takes about a month for the caustic soda to draw out. Because what the caustic soda does, it binds the molecules of the fat, which turns into soap. But with it standing, eventually it neutralizes completely. And with it neutralizing completely, you land up with a safe product. And this is also known as lye. Caustic soda is also lye. So, or you can call it drain cleaner. It's the same thing. So that is what we're using today. Let me just have a peek. Okay, it's going down, going down, going down.
That one's also going down. Almost there.
Almost there. Is this one off completely?
Yes, it's off. Okay. This one is still a bit high.
No, it's still a little bit. Okay. So, folks, one of the things that is of vital importance, always to have vinegar at hand when you're working with caustic soda. Caustic soda, you might have a spill. The only thing to neutralize caustic soda is vinegar, and that you grab ASAP, put it on and get to a hospital as soon as possible. That is of vital importance. You also wash your utensils in a solution of vinegar water after using the soap making process, because your caustic soda is still, the trace elements are still very high. You only go in one direction for the molecules to bind. You cannot do clockwise and then go anti-clockwise. You have to go, if you go clockwise, you carry on clockwise. Otherwise, it will break the strands of the molecules in soap making.
I didn't know that. How's it going?
Yeah, that's good. We are on even par, we are on even par. And some blender in. As I pour,
You must
go
tell me
into
now.
the vinegar, you can switch it on and start. Careful your hands. Until it gets trace. Trace would be almost like a thick slurry. And once it reaches a thick slurry, then we'll be adding in all the other ingredients afterwards, the olive oil with the essential oils and your marshmallow leaves as well. So your marshmallow leaves and everything gets added in afterwards. The method that we are using is called the cold process. So we are not actually boiling the soap. The soap just gets brought up to temperature and It has to stand for a while. But boiled soap is for the heated process, which is much quicker and easier. But at the end, I still feel your slow process is still the best. Time consuming, but much better quality soap.
How long does it take to stir?
It depends on your temperature, but if you carry on stirring, you eventually will see it will start forming patterns, but it starts getting thicker and thicker as you go along.
It's actually not very
It doesn't take too long. No, it doesn't take too long. Starting to form patterns already. You can take a little bit of a break if you feel your immersion blender starting to heat up a little bit. Okay, but otherwise, yeah. Okay. Yes. But it has to be quite thick before we add in.
If you don't have a slow cooker, can you put it on the stove in a stainless steel pot?
Yes, you can. You can also do stovetop. You can do it outside as well. Okay. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can do it the old-fashioned way.
Stirring and stirring.
Stirring and stirring and stirring, which would take you about, I think, should take you about a half a day.
Oh.
So, thank goodness to modern technology.
Yes.
It's almost at rest.
What will happen if you stir it
too much? If you stir it too long, it will just get so thick that it is almost, you won't be able to pour it. You'll have to scoop it out and ladle it into your molds.
But it won't make a harder soap.
No, not necessary. Not necessary. The process is still the same. We're just about there. And you see it's leaving a ring around the end, almost like a thick custard.
I'm just going to switch it off. It's just a bit hot.
Yeah. It's almost time to add your other oils and your other goodies. And then we can do the final blending.
Okay.
I think go once more. Does it feel like a thick custard yet? Almost.
I think you must give it a try.
Let me just see. I want you to feel when, as soon as it's ready, as soon as I hand it over to you, to feel what it should feel like.
Okay.
When
it's ready.
When it's ready. Okay.
Okay, is it ready now?
Feel what it feels like. Put the blender on and feel.
Oh, yes.
That's what it should feel like.
Okay, and it's a bit more creamy now.
It's a little bit more creamy.
Okay,
don't take it out, don't remove it.
Okay.
Now we are going to add the oils. So what I will do is,
This is good. They're in the jar.
I'm going to add the oil to the powder. And then I'm going to just stir and mix through. This is your essential oil, your lemongrass, oil that's mixed with olive oil, and then your marshmallow leaf that was dehydrated and malted powder. Okay, that should be fine. Now I'm going to pour, and Deirdre will carry on mixing. Let's see what happens. You feel the texture?
Yes.
Okay, you can just blend as per normal.
Oh, it smells good.
But the clean country,
I love the green.
the green country air smell in the lemongrass oil.
It's going to be pretty color.
I think it's going to be a beautiful color.
You can add colorings if you want to. What kind of colorings do you use?
I think if you do, I would use a more natural color.
Beet powders?
Beet powder, you can use
powders.
carrot powder, you can use carrot powder, you can use cocoa powder.
Oh, yes.
So you can play around with all the different powders that you can use. One of the powders is rose powder. Take rose petals and dehydrate it, crush it and use it in.
Okay.
The more finer the powder, the less the blockage in your drain. So don't add anything that is too coarse that won't be able to, that won't clog your drains up. A lot of people throw in leaves and they don't realize that it actually clogs up the drain. But to each his own preference.
Yeah.
Okay, we can blend a little bit more. See how thick it's become.
Yes.
More on the top. You don't need to worry about going to no, it won't make. No, now the bubble making.
So I can lift it up a
doesn't
bit.
matter. Yeah.
Okay.
The bad bubble making doesn't, because your soap making process is done.
Okay.
You just add in the final.
Okay. What do you think?
Perfect. Just try and get a little bit more of the oil. There's a little bit of a layer of the oil that you want to work in.
Can I take it out?
Yeah. That should be perfect.
Do you think it's ready?
That's ready.
Okay.
It's as ready as can be. Okay, so now we are going to this is what the consistency of your soap should be if you're making soap. I find it pours better, it gives a better mold.
can make nice patterns on top if you want to.
Yes,
because
you
it's
can.
thick enough.
Yes.
Yes. With what do you cut it when it's ready?
You can cut it with a knife,
Okay.
or you can use a cheese cutter, old cheese cutter.
Okay. And then in what do you wrap it when it's ready to
I would, when it's ready to store,
Mm-hmm.
you can just leave it out open.
Okay.
You don't need to have it in a wrapper as per such,
Okay.
but if you want to, you can store it in brown paper.
Okay. I've got another silicone mold. I'm
We
going
can
to
do
give
it.
that to you as well.
Okay, we can do some in there. Do you want to flatten some of this over your palms?
Yes.
Starting to set already, Deidre. That's about it. I'll use a dough hook to get some more soap out.
Give me that one, then we can scrape that one so that the soaps, it will be easier to remove.
It will just pop out.
Yeah, but then the soap, I mean, in between, you see. It's the same.
It's about soap making, is about
It's
having fun.
It's about the same as what we do with the chocolates and things like that, you see.
See how quickly it solidifies. Okay, I think that is it.
And now, for how long must it stand before we...
This has got to stand for about 48 hours before you pop it out.
Okay.
So for 48 hours, we have to play the waiting game.
Okay. Have you got something that you can show us?
I've got the end result of your soap. I just cut mine a little bit thin, but you can cut it as to the thickness that you would like to have it.
And how old is that one now?
This is about a year old. So what happens is you do get white on it, but that is just part of the sponification that happens when after stored.
So Sharon, how long will this soap last? Does it have expiry date on it?
No expiry date whatsoever. Soap generally don't have any expiry date. This is considered a chemical-free soap, so you will not have any expiry date on anything that's chemical-free.